I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Looking a little crispy over there, Mikey. Like some chicken fried, motherfucker.
Sheriff Brackett. He came out of nowhere. I couldn't stop.
I have a confession to make. I love the Halloween franchise. All of it. I love the good movies in the series, the bad ones, the remake, the overrated ones, the underrated ones.
I left the back door unlocked for your ass to go out the back into the garage. That's what I did.
The ones that were underrated when they came out but are now overrated. Seriously, Halloween 3 sucks. Yeah, the franchise would have been better if they stuck with the anthology formula, but there's a lot of reasons to dislike this movie other than just a lack of Michael Myers. Anyway, I've been very excited for the new movie, just titled Halloween for some reason, which acts as a direct sequel to the original and ignores Halloween 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and both remakes. It actually references Halloween 3 of all things, that one that was never supposed to be in continuity with the others. How weird is that? Well, after finally seeing Halloween 2018, I'm very happy to say that I liked it. Mostly. We'll get to that in a minute, but first, a plot synopsis. Spoilers ahead. In the first Halloween movie, Michael Myers escaped from an asylum in 1978 and killed 4 people, including 3 friends of teenage babysitter Laurie Strode, and also 2 dogs. Michael's doctor shot him a bunch of times and he was captured. When the new movie picks up, he's been held in captivity for 40 years, but escapes when being transferred to a different facility, because apparently Michael's power to escape anytime he's being transported transcends timelines. He escapes more than Loomis monologues. Michael returns to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, and goes on another killing spree. Laurie has been preparing for Michael potentially escaping for the last 40 years and tries to keep her daughter Karen, her son-in-law Ray, and her granddaughter Allison safe. However, 40 years of being obsessed with Michael have alienated Laurie from her family, so the very act of trying to keep them safe is pushing them away from her, putting them in even greater danger. It all comes to a head when Michael walks into Laurie's new home. The unstoppable force faces off against a victim who has turned herself into an immovable object. Thankfully, most of the movie is pretty good. Not all of the characters are likable, but even the unlikable ones have enough moments of sympathy or regret that you aren't entirely hoping they die. Except for Cameron, who somehow survives the movie. I honestly didn't see that coming. Jamie Lee Curtis is fantastic as Laurie and did a great job turning a simple damsel in distress into a layered character who's tough yet vulnerable. In Halloween 7.
It's 1998. In a remote California town at a secluded private school.
We could have a Halloween party, just the 4 of us. We could have a roaming orgy.
I love the way this man thinks.
Yeah, the biggest problem with the new Halloween movie is that they already made it. It's called Halloween H2O, 20 years later, and it was awesome. It's like 80 minutes long and has a way more satisfying ending than this new one.
Now,
Come on!
the face of good and the face of evil will meet one last time. But this time, it's going to be a fight to the finish.
But the new movie does have a few things going for it that H20 doesn't. The kills are much better, going back and forth from really gory ones to creepy ones where the violence is just off screen. Michael also kills a child at the start of the movie, which gives you a sense the whole way through that no one is safe, regardless of genre cliches. Some kills even blend the two effects, with off-screen violence coupled with gruesome sound effects. There's nothing as over-the-top as the head explosion from Part 6, and nothing as creepy as the strangulation in the original.
And then it was Nick Castle who was under the sheet, and I remember He was being just a little too gentle with the tug on the neck,
Oh,
and I have to say.
Yeah,
Can
I
you just
remember
do
that.
it a little harder?
And nothing as stupid as the gun impalement in Part 4.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
But it's still a very satisfying movie to watch if you're only into slasher movies for the violence. Age 20 also lacked Loomis, and this movie, well, you know how in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it's really obvious that the character Benjamin Lockwood was originally supposed to be Dr. John Hammond from the original movies, but then the writers realized Richard Attenborough died and they changed the character's name, said he was a colleague of Hammond, and changed nothing else? Well, this movie tricks you into thinking that's what it's doing with Dr. Loomis, since another doctor named Dr. Sartain shows up claiming to have been his student. Laurie even says, "So, you're the new Loomis." But it's actually a bait and switch, and what they do with the character makes it clear he's nothing like Loomis. The reveal of what he's really up to is the most interesting part of the film by far. The last thing that Halloween 2018 has over Age 20 is the finale. Don't misunderstand me. Age 20 has one of my favorite movie finales of all time. Laurie's then final battle with Michael is right up there in my mind with the Avengers assembling, Ellen Ripley rescuing Newt, Ash fighting the Army of Darkness, the Bride taking on the Crazy 88, the Death Star assault, and Daniel winning the karate tournament. But Halloween 2018 has 3 generations of Strodes teaming up to fight Michael Myers. For a movie that openly mocks the other movies in the series and removed them from continuity, this is the biggest possible bone they could have thrown to Halloween fans. This would be like if the original series had Laurie Strode, Jamie Lloyd, and Stephen Doyle join forces against the Shape. Michael has tormented this family for decades, and it is so satisfying to see an alternate universe where the whole family gives him a taste of his own medicine. And to top it off, it's in a house full of traps and secret rooms. Nancy Thompson would be proud. In spite of all that praise I just gave the movie, it isn't perfect. I know that in horror movies, especially slasher movies, the audience expects characters to make bad decisions. The entire slasher genre was built on an extreme version of portraying punishment and consequences for the dumb decisions that parents worried their teenage kids would make. Do drugs? You die. Drink to excess? You die. You all know the rules. They're so famous that an entire slasher franchise is built around them. But some of the characters in this movie go way beyond typical horror movie stupid and just lack any common sense. The worst examples are both in the same scene. When Michael crashes the bus being used to transport him, a father and son driving down the road stop in front of it. The dad leaves his son in the car and goes out to talk to a literal busload of inmates from a maximum security prison of the mentally ill. Then, when his son inevitably goes to look for his dad, a survivor jumps out at him and screams at him, which gets him shot. Why wouldn't the survivor announce his presence before jumping out? Why wouldn't the dad call 911 from inside the safety of his car? That's not just horror movie stupid, that's contrived writing stupid, and it's only a couple of examples. The best part of the movie is the part everyone came to see, Michael Myers. It takes great acting and direction to say so much with a character who doesn't talk or show his face. Michael is usually a blank slate, eerie because he seems to lack any human emotion or thought. But every time he tilts his head while looking at somebody, or reacts to the other character's dialogue, or even just follows someone with his eyes, a lot of stuff clicks. You can tell just for an instant what he's thinking, though you never know what he's feeling, if he even feels at all. This movie's a great example of why Michael Myers has endured as a character, and it's not just because he has a recognizable costume. Side note, this movie has my favorite opening credits sequence of the year so far. It calls back to the opening of the original, while doing something new that references in a meta way what this reboot is doing to bring Halloween back to life. Another clever detail is Allison's Halloween costume, which happens to look almost exactly like Laurie Strode's outfit in the original movie. I also can't figure out what the final shot of the movie is trying to convey. I just don't get it. The movie does have one— Oh my god, please turn that off. It doesn't have to be the Halloween theme. Get some different music in here. Thank you, that's actually better. The movie does have one other big problem. The ending. It isn't a definitive ending like Halloween 2 or 7, and yeah, I know neither of those actually were a definitive ending, but at the time they seemed to be sure things, and they were intended that way. It's also not a definitive cliffhanger like the original Part 5 or 8. It's very middle of the road, leaving the door open for sequels if they decide Michael lives, or acting as an ending if he doesn't. This kind of ending that works as a true finale or a lead-in to further stories makes sense in Iron Man 3, where one trilogy is ending but an overarching story is going on. But Halloween was advertised as the true conclusion to the franchise, not a start of a new series. Overall, I enjoyed myself for most of Halloween. I loved the final battle, but was a little let down and confused by the falling action. I recommend it to fans of the franchise, and if you're a newcomer who's interested, there's only one movie to watch as homework, so you may want to give them both a shot as well. Even if you hate the new one, you'll at least have seen the original. Remember how I just said the movie advertised itself as a conclusion to the Michael Myers story and not as the start of a new franchise? And remember how I said I think Halloween 3's overrated at the start of the video? Well, I have a theory about the future of this franchise, or at least a hope that involves that. Most fans agree that the series would have been better overall if they kept making unrelated horror movies set during Halloween instead of just stopping after Halloween 3 and going back to making Michael Myers movies. I think that may actually be in the franchise's future. The main reason movies like Halloween 2018, The Thing 2011, or The Predator have titles that don't indicate they are sequels is to appeal to audiences that aren't part of the core fanbase by making it seem like the movie's coming out is the definitive one and the only one they need to see. They want to demonstrate that it doesn't require prior knowledge so they can get people to buy tickets who might not have gone to see it if it was called Predator 6 or The Thing Origins or something. But maybe there's another reason Halloween 2018 is just called Halloween. It finished off the story of the original Halloween and frees up the series to go back to anthology movies that would probably have titles like Halloween insert subtitle here. After seeing the non-committal ending to the movie, that hope is fading, but I have one more prediction I'm very confident in. Halloween 2018 erased Laurie Strode's death from canon and had her return, toughened by her experience in the original movie, to fight Michael Myers. Terminator 6 is going to erase Sarah Connor's death from canon and have her return, toughened by her experience in the original movie, to fight a Terminator. I am now 100% positive we are going to get a new Alien movie that ignores Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Alien vs. Predator, Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, Prometheus, and Alien Covenant, with Sigourney Weaver returning as Ellen Ripley to fight aliens. And that, my friends, will be an awesome movie. Happy Halloween, thanks for listening.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Give him
I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.
then tell him that his lonesome nights are